أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما ثم السلام على آل الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم الأجمعين إلى يوم الدين صلوات رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المجيد وفرقانه الحميد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل يا عبادي الذين أسرفوا على أنفسهم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم صدق الله العظيم صلوات السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So our topic has been the spiritual bank. A collection of du'as, a collection of Asma al-Husna that you store into your soul and keep for a time. You can use them every day, but for a time when things are difficult, when it's not easy, and you can draw on that spiritual bank. I pray, and we all pray, that nobody ever falls ill and nobody ever has problems, but life is a series of tests and things happen. So it's good to have this spiritual bank inside you that you can access. Now, I won't go over everything that we've done, but the requirements were, the first thing was, I told you no applications are refused. So that's quite cool. But the requirements were that you believe in Allah, you believe in divine guidance, which is the Prophet and the Imam, and finally that you feel accountable. And over the days we've been looking at La ilaha illallah, and we saw who Allah was. Three things should come in mind as soon as you think Allah. One, He is awesome. Two, He's the one you go to for absolutely anything. And the third one was that you're intensely in love with Him. Okay. Yesterday, we looked at the second part of the Kalima of belief, which is Muhammadur Rasulullah. You remember that, right? So that's what we looked at today. And today we will look at my most favorite, Aliyun Waliullah. Now imagine the spiritual bank having the owner. You know the owner is Allah, yes? There is a CEO. Do you know what a CEO is? Like the boss, right? So you have the Prophet as being the most awesome man who walked the earth as a CEO. But the CEO likes to have a COO, the Chief Operating Officer. And that is Imam Ali. Can you remember that? Owner, CEO, and COO. Oh, hopefully you know this language. So now we're going to look at the COO. He was the most perfect student of Rasulullah. In the Quran, Allah calls Rasulullah Yasin. Everybody knows Yasin. It's divided into two words, Ya and Sin. Ya is O. Sin is short for insan. Oh, perfect human being. But you need a perfect student to follow. He is way up there. So we need Imam Ali. My goodness. He is just phenomenal. So I'm going to go into this. So first let's look at Surah Al-Imran, ayah 31. By the way, 331. If you've ever got problems, you know when you want love in a household. In fact, why should you have a problem? Before your problem, read it on water when you put it on the table. قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي. If you love Allah, the Prophet said, فَاتَّبِعُونِي, do my ittiba. Two words in Arabic, ita'a and ittiba. Ita'a is bare minimum. Ittiba is absolutely every step. Now what happens when you do that? يَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ. Allah will forgive you your sins. By the way, I know dhanb, we all know that. But dhanb is a tail. Doesn't leave you. It bothers you. It follows you. It's a sin that you just close your eyes and that's what you think of. So يَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ. He will forgive all sins. وَاللَّهُ غَفُورٌ rahim. I repeat again, 331. If you've got issues, please write it down. Now, if I'm to follow the Prophet, we just finished Ghadir in Dhul Hijjah. Yes? Eid al-Ghadir, you all know that. What did he say? Man kuntu mawlahu fahadha aliyun mawlahu. I mean, it's not rocket science to know that he's telling you and me that if you see me as your guide, you will see Ali as your guide. What is a wali? Because we say aliyun waliyullah. Okay. So if you take a dark room which has only one window and you put a plant towards it, you will find that the plant will gravitate towards the window. You know, it'll just go towards that window. The window is the wali of the plant. So when you say Aliyun Waliyullah, he gravitates towards divinity. That's what he is, Aliyun Waliyullah. And he doesn't do that without the Prophet, because the moment he opened his mouth, he said, Sami'tu Rasulullah. I heard Rasulullah. Okay, I'm going to go through some bits. Maybe go to a personal story. I was 10 when my father died. My father was 38. And when I looked through his books, because everybody else was looking at everything else, it was the 3 books that were really, really precious to him. One was the Quran, one was Mafatihul Jinan, and one was Nahjul Balagha. Now, the Quran you all know, Mafatihul Jinan you know because it's got du'as in it. But the Nahjul Balagha was a brown leather-bound book which has initials on it. And it had a translation of the Arabic in Farsi and Urdu. I didn't understand. I could understand Urdu and read it because he had taught me to read it. But I couldn't understand Farsi and Arabic, and the Urdu was really, really difficult. As I flicked through the pages, one of the corners was turned. And that corner was letter number 31 in Nahjul Balagha. Mom, you all pick one up, right? So and it had my birth date on it. And in my head, I thought, remember I'm 10, so I thought, one day I'm going to learn this. The little I knew was that was a letter that Imam Ali wrote to Imam Hassan on his way back from Siffin at a place called Al-Hadriyan, and you probably read about it anyway. And it was, you know, days went to months, months went to years. I kind of forgot a little bit about it. Until my first child was born in 1981. Okay, you know how old I am now. So she was born in 1981. And when I looked at her, there was an overwhelming sense of that letter 31. Because my father always used to tell me, and I'll tell you the words in Arabic. He always used to say, وَجَدْتُكَ بَعْضِي. I find you a bit of me. بَلْ وَجَدْتُكَ كُلِّي. Not a bit of me. I found you as a whole of me. All right? He used to say this all the time. He used to say, حَتَّى كَأَنَّ شَيْئًا لَوْ أَصَابَكَ. If anything happened to you, it was like it happened to me. And even if death came to you, it was like death came to me. And my father would repeat as a child. It all came back when I saw my daughter, and I thought, oh my goodness, that's... So I went out and bought a copy of Nahjul Balagha with the translation in English, because that was easier for me. And since then, even today, I'm 66 now, I still try to fall in love with Ali through his words, because the Prophet said, if you say you're in love with someone, you've got to know them. And you can't know them except through their words. And Nahjul Balagha is absolutely phenomenal. So I'm going to share some of the things I've learned, a few of the things from Nahjul Balagha, so you might know. First of all, where did Nahjul Balagha come from? Who compiled it? Are you looking at me with blank faces? Okay. Sayyid Radhi. Sayyid Radhi lived for 45 years. He put it together. He's a phenomenal human being. His father was from the progeny of Imam Qasim. His mother was from the progeny of Imam Sajjad. He had a phenomenal brother called Sayyid Murtada. You've heard about him, right? He was known as Alamul Huda. And their teacher was Sheikh Mufid. When he died, and he died suddenly at 45, he used to work 18 hours a day just collecting everything about Imam Ali. Okay, Sayyid Radhi, don't forget him. Anyway, when he died, his brother and his teacher were so overwhelmed with grief, they couldn't even lead Salah al-Mayyit. So it was the prime minister who led it. So that's just a little bit about the book. Now, most of you know the sentence in Nahj al-Balagha, which comes quite often. Man arafa nafsahu faqad arafa rabbahu. If you have recognized yourself, you have recognized your Rabb. And throughout Nahj al-Balagha, you will find in all the sermons, it tells you, evolve, change, or you will die. You will become stagnant. Try and read it. There's a sermon that I quite like, which is called Khutbah al-Bahr. It's sermon 91. It's known as the Khutbah of Skeletons, and people tend to go over it because they don't like skeletons. But skeletons are good, because that forms who you are, right? So if you look at the skeleton, or the Khutbah of Skeleton, he says, look beyond the form in everything in life. And he says, if you really think about life, you will find that you're connected to everyone, and then all of you are connected to the Creator. There's no me and you as such. We're all connected in some way or the other. You will find Sermon 155 talks about the bat, 165 talks about the peacock. What Imam is telling you and me is that when you look at creation, you will find Allah. You just look at it. I mean, look at yourself in the mirror. Don't compare to social media, which has all these filters. Just look at yourself. Isn't it amazing? You've seen your eyes, your heart, your veins, and Dua al-Arafah, Imam Hussein talks about it. Absolutely phenomenal creation. All you can say is Alhamdulillah. You know Van Gogh, don't you? The artist. So Van Gogh painted an old chair. You all know that? You don't? Look it up. Go to your search engine and put Van Gogh old chair. The chair cost him a couple of pounds, but he saw more in the chair than you and I do. Today, the painting costs over $100 million. It's an old chair. That means he saw something in it. It's phenomenal, and we got to do the same. So I'm going to take some things from letter 31, because I want to go to the topic for today, which is Ali and Wali about something else too. So in letter 31, he says, Usika bi taqwallah. Hold on to God consciousness, number one. Number two, he says, dua is a phenomenal gift. No connection is more reliable than that with Allah. And I've said this before, I repeat it again, he understands all languages. I know Imam Ali taught us Dua Kamil and Dua Mashlul and Munajat Imam Ali and all these duas, the duas of wudu. He taught us all of them. But that was so we are able to verbalize ourselves. These days people use, if you tell them, you've written such a good email, they say, not me, AI and ChatGPT. Put this in AI and ChatGPT. How do I talk to my God? It's not going to get better than Imam Ali. Okay, so his duas were just a way of finding out. He says, study past people. Travel in the world, go to museums, study them, see where they were, who they were, and where they are today. Just for 1 minute. That's why you have so many stories in the Quran, right? He says, وَتَفَقَّهُ فِي الدِّينِ. Think deeply about your religion. Who are you? Religion is what you exchange your life for. Who are you? Where do you want to go? What do you want to be? And be true to yourself. This is what the letter says. And he tells Imam Hassan, know that he who owns the treasures of the heavens and the earth has given you a key. He's given you a miftah, which is talk to him, and he's put nobody in between you and him. Just sit and talk to him. And he said, you know what? The beauty about this creator, he tells Imam Hassan, if you make a mistake, he's told you, do tawbah, do istighfar, and I will forgive you. And at the end he says, Istawdi Allah dinaka wa dunyaya. When you have done your best, hand over your dunya and your deen to Allah and say, you look after it. You know, in the morning when you read dua for subuh, you say, وَأُفَوِّضُ أَمْرِي إِلَى اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بَصِيرٌ بِالْعِبَادِ. I hand over everything to you. I have done it now because you will watch over me. And believe it. You know, I have a wonderful helper at home. Her name is Aggie. She's lovely. Now, Aggie's been with me for many, many years. By the way, she's a Muslim and she's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So you don't have to say anything to Aggie. You just leave the house and you know you'll come back to everything that is done. Now, if I was like some people where I grew up in East Africa and follow her in every room and lock every door, and not trust her, Aggie would not do what she is doing. Now, she does things on her own thinking. She knows on a Sunday, 19 humans come into my house. The 9 grandchildren, the 5 children, and their spouses, right? So, but she knows on Monday that it's going to be quite difficult. Everything will have to be moved. And she's phenomenal. So in the same way as Aggie, think of God. You're trusting him. Trust. He will do it. But the moment you have, you watch it and you say, why not now? Well, it's going to be a bit of a problem, right? So let's see what Imam Ali writes in his will. He says, I advise you, all those who are listening to it. All right, we talked about God consciousness. He said the greatest thing, which is even greater than salah and saum, is reconciling differences. You got a difference amongst you? Reconcile it. Make it better. Reach out. It's not going to make you small. He said maintain communication amongst you. Talk. Talk. Just talk to each other. And now we've got these wonderful devices. And then he says, don't be seduced by the dunya. It's only a short-term thing. And these are the sort of things he wrote. Before I go on to friends, because today we talk about one of the greatest friends around, in your head, or in our heads, let's divide Imam Ali's life into 3. Do you know how old he lived for? 63. Are you good with that? Okay, so he lived for 63 years. Divide his life into 3 sections. Can you do that? Divide his life into 3. So 0 to 33, he was with the Prophet. First part, 0 to 33. And if you look at that part of his life, he says, the Prophet took me under his wing like a mommy bird to a baby. He fed me, he nourished me with knowledge. 33 years. Then you have a very difficult 25 years. Wafat of the Prophet until Khilafah. 25 years. And this is what Ali writes in Nahj al-Balagha. He says, I bore with patience like a man with a thorn in his eye and a bone in his throat. Can you imagine? 25 years. He supported all those who betrayed him because he didn't want the ummah to tear. He didn't want the fabric of the community to tear up. 25 years. And then the third part is Khilafah to his martyrdom, or when he was killed. And that's only 5 years. And in those 5 years, he tried to change things, bring justice, teach the Quran. You probably know the Quran that you read is one that Imam Ali has taught. He's put the harakas in. There were no harakas. If you don't have harakas, can you imagine how difficult it is? So he taught the Quran. He brought back the sunnah of Rasulullah. You got 3 sections, 0 to 33. 33 to, come on, 33 plus 25, it's not rocket science. 58, and then 58 to 63. Are you good with that? So that's Imam Ali. And you can do that with all the A'immah. It's phenomenal. So if somebody were to ask, who is Ali to you? My goodness. What can you say? He is that perfect student that teaches you how to reach your full potential. Now, before I go into friends, one last thing. As a child, my grandmother, every time we saw a spider, and I'm a bit scared of these creepy crawlies, right? She would say, that you will not kill. You will pick him up and you will put him outside because he saved the Prophet by reading Nadi Aliyan, Madhar al-Ajaib, Tajidu awnallak fin nawaib, kullu hammin wa ghammin sayanjali, biwilayatika ya Aliyu, ya Aliyu, ya Ali. So every time you see a spider, and you'll see many of them, and don't kill them, because it's their ancestors that saved the Prophet. You know what happens? They're in the cave, and the Prophet is with Abu Bakr, and he's petrified. And he says, Allah is with us. He's with us. Why are you so scared? And they had a good GPS. Those Arabs, they were good. They knew exactly where you find you. Have you got Find My Friends? Or have you got something on your phone? My children track me wherever I am. Yeah, yesterday they told me, Mama, why have you parked in the ladies and why are you walking the other way? How did you know that? GPS. So these Arabs had a good GPS. They actually got to the cave. And as they got to the cave, Jibreel is panicking. He comes down and he says, I'm going to protect the Prophet. And this little spider said, I will. And he said, me, have you seen me? My wings span the heavens and the earth. You're this tiny little thing. What are you going to do? He said, I got Nadi Aliyan. I'm going to recite it. So you know what? When you're scared, when you've got issues, Or we can deposit in our spiritual bank. Nade Aliyan. Okay, great. But the other people we incline towards is friends. Like I said, Aliyun Waliyullah. When we are stuck, that's who we go to. We go to a friend. We might go to our mom, but moms can get old and they can say, inshallah, everything will be all right, read 2 rakats namaz. But friends are different. They listen to you, right? So look at the Prophet. He said, when you see one of the gardens of Jannah open before you, benefit from it. And the companion said, where? Where do we find these gardens of Jannah? He said, in a friend, of course. And then he said, a friend is one who reminds you of Allah. Number 2, whose conversation increases your knowledge. And number 3, whatever they do, it reminds you of the akhirah. Now, it's not about looking at your friend or my friend. It's looking at yourself. Can I be a friend like that? Okay. And the biggest part, or the biggest advantage of being part of a Ahlul Bayti community, I call it an AB community, right? Somebody today told me they can now understand AK and MK. So now you understand AB, right? Part of an Ahlul Bayti community is that you have so many friends. It's absolutely phenomenal. Now let's see how the Quran talks about them. The first friend it talks about is Rafiq. You heard of it? If you've seen Lion King, you know Rafiqi, right? All right. Quran, Surah An-Nisa, Ayah 69. It talks about mirfaq. Mirfaq, Rafiqi comes from mirfaq, by the way. Mirfaq is a cushion. You know when you're really tired and you just slump into your sofa and you put the cushions around you, that cushion is a mirfaq. By the way, the cushions in Jannah are green. If you don't have a green cushion in your lounge, you got issues. Get a green one, write 469 on it, and every time you look at it, think of Rafiq. So that's one friend. Another friend Quran talks about, and this is Surah Al Imran 118, a bitana friend. Do you know what a bitana friend is? It's a belly friend. Not a pregnant friend, huh? Because if you Google belly friend, it says pregnant friend. Bitana friend is someone who will listen to you, all your secrets, and keep them in their tummy, just help you a little bit with things that you need. And Quran says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la tattakhidhu bitanatum bidunikum. Don't take bitana friends except from your own people, from Ahlul Baytis, and they will look after you. The third one is Khalil. You've heard of Khalil, right? Prophet Ibrahim is known as Khalilullah. What hurts you hurts them. They're phenomenal friends to have. Then you have Qareen. Qareen is a friend. How can I describe one? Qareen is the rope that ties 2 camels together. That's the friend that's there all the time. You turn your back and they're there. They don't go. They're always there. They're phenomenal friends. Then you have Sadiq. You know Sadiq, don't you? No? Sadiq is a friend who remains in touch, who never gives up on you. Even if you create a mess and you chase them away, they're always there. Right? So that's a Sadiq. Then you have a Khazul. I wouldn't be that friend. I wouldn't like that. Khazul is a fair weather friend. As long as you benefit them, they're your friend. So you don't want to be Khazul. Ya Allah, don't make me a Khazul, okay? And then there's Waliul Hamim. And again, these are from the Quran. It's a warm friend. But the friend we're going to talk about today is the best of friends. He combines all those good things together. And he's known as a Habib. Habib is a heart friend. A friend you go to, a friend who is a Sadiq, who is a Rafiq, who is a Khalil, he's just there, or she's just there. And you're always, that's where you turn to. I would call it a go-to friend. So today we will look at Habib ibn Mazahir. Name was Habib as well, right? And when you call people, you say, Ya Habibi. You say that, right? So my Habib. Mazahir and the Prophet were once walking. And the Prophet sat down on the ground. And he takes Habib in his lap and he kisses him. And Mazahir said, what did my son do to get this honor? And he said, have you not been watching? As Hussein and Habib are walking, Habib picks up the sand from under the feet of Hussein and he kisses it. Your Habib, one day Mazahir, will aid my son Hussein. Right? So they're in Karbala. They've been moved away from the river. And Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the first person he thinks of, yes, his mama, because she was phenomenal. But as a person in the world, he thought of Habib. So he writes him a letter. And he says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Min Hussein ibn Ali, from Hussein ibn Ali. to the most knowledgeable person. He calls Habib a knowledgeable person. It's an amazing letter. I hope you get some time and you can read this. When he says, he calls him a faqih. And he says, Hussein says, I am surrounded. Habib, I'm calling out to you. And Imam is calling out to a friend. When Habib gets this letter, he's having a meal with his wife. And the door is knocked, and they're very worried because in Kufa the atmosphere wasn't very good. But the man says, Ana qasidul Hussein. The moment he hears Hussein, he opens the door, he takes the letter, he kisses it, he doesn't even open the envelope. And his wife says, hurry up, what's in the letter? If it's from Hussein, I want to know. When he opens the letter, he says, he's surrounded. And his wife said, why are you standing here? Do you want my hijab? Go. And he says, no, I'm worried about you. He says, don't worry about me. I'll sort myself out. You just go. And Habib goes. We are told on the 4th of Muharram, he gets to Karbala. And I know there are many hadiths which say that Imam is giving up the weapons, and Habib comes and the last one is with him. But I love the words he said. He said, Habib, when I see you, I feel young. I was looking at a reel by Imam Khamenei, or Ayatollah Khamenei, and he says that I am 90, but my heart is 20. Okay, it's because of the love that's shown. So the moment he sees Habib, he says, Habib, I'm feeling really young now. When anybody came to see Imam Hussein, he would be standing at the door of the tent. I am the watchman. I am the protector. And literally, that's what a friend does. They're always there for you. Even today, if you go to Karbala, the first grave you will come to is the grave of Habib. Right? On the day of Ashura, it's about Zohar. Abu Thamama says, it is time for Salah. And Imam says, may Allah place you amongst the Musallin. Habib goes to the army and he says, remember, he is a very respected person. He's a scholar. And those people know he's a scholar. And he tells them, give us some respite for Salah. And Hussein ibn Namir, the one who killed Ali Akbar, he says, you mean your Salah? Pray as much as you like. Your Salah will not be accepted. And Habib says, are you telling me that your Salah will be accepted and not the Salah of the grandson of the Prophet? Now that incensed them. They surrounded Habib. And when he fell, these are his words. He said, Assalamu alayka ya Habibi. Peace be on you, oh my friend. And he says, don't come, please don't come. But Imam runs with Abu Thamama. And he runs to Habib. And Habib has got his last breaths. He holds on to Abu Thamama and he says, I'd like to do a wasiyah. Abu Thamama says, don't tell me because I'm coming the same way. He says, no, just one thing. Usika hadha rajul al-madlum. Hang on, don't leave this human being, this man who has been wronged so much. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Saya'lamuna alladhina dhalamu ayyamun kalibun. Let us pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the tawfiq to be friends like Habib. Let us pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give the wasila of Habib and Hussein and the children of Hussein and the companions of Hussein, that the difficulties that are going on in the world, the children that are suffering, Ya Allah, relieve them of their distress. And Ya Allah, we ask you in the name of Habib to fulfill the hajat of all those who are sitting here. فَتَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ.